felt furious at the moment. Yet another day my hopes were crushed and blown away into thin air, and the reason behind it was Jungkook again. We were supposed to make time today and go for a dinner date. Then again his duty called, and being a man who loved his work more than anything, of course I was the one left behind. My phone vibrated with the incoming text from the said man. Sorry, I'll make up to you, I promise. The text stings on my phone. He was upstairs in his office, yet he texted me instead of at least saying it face to face. At least that would have made me feel less bitter. I wasn't wishing for him to go on knees for forgiveness, or as such, but a simple, sincere sorry would do magic seemingly. Jungkook was too busy for all that as well. Why didn't anyone tell me that with the package of good looks and loving husband, I was also signing up for a busy man? I mean, I get it. He's the CEO of a big company, and his position came with responsibilities on his shoulders. But his wife misses him too, which he seems to forget sometimes. Work and life both were priorities, and Jungkook sometimes failed miserably to handle both. One of the reasons behind this was his hideous nature. He was someone who'd rather shut himself up than speak, and in situations where a little sincerity would solve everything, he used to suffer expressing that needed emotion. Sometimes I felt angry, sometimes it's just detection, but at one point it felt tiring. I sighed and sat on the chair and dragged it forward to my desk. There a work of my anger than sulking and doing nothing. Opening my laptop, I decided to write my next draft. My publisher kept nagging me about not sending him the next draft for the last few months. He's tired of keeping up with my writer's block, and I knew he was on his last thread. The day I had fallen for Jungkook, he's been the model behind every character in my book. It made me connect with the character deeply, and sometimes I would just carry on until it's the last page. Nowadays, I could not think of anything, maybe because of the distance we both had created, because of the work and stress. He was busy with his work at the company, struggling with piled up files, emails, and long stretch meetings, and I was busy with writing my next book, drafting a proper plot, and figuring out characters. Sometimes I just wanted us both to quit our jobs and live somewhere near beaches and lay there in the sun, just him and me, because we had ended up at a point where both of us needed nothing but solace and some time to talk. The time started ticking and it went so quickly that I didn't realize it's almost evening. I had gained a little concentration to progress with my book, so I was savoring this motivation. That was until I grabbed my phone to check through the notification as a habit, and I saw a text from my husband. I'm done with my work. I hope you like some warm food made by my love instead of a fancy dinner. When you're done, come downstairs. I'll be there waiting for you. How didn't I see this before? The text was sent an hour back, feeling the guilt to leave Jungkook with no response. I hurried downstairs, almost forgetting I was mad. Or was it furious? I saw my husband sitting on the couch with one of the books I published a few months back. That was quite a surprising sight, considering that Jungkook once confessed that he wasn't a reader. He once said he doesn't read romance or fiction, which was exactly what I was a writer of, so I never saw him reading any of my books. But right at the moment, I was in awe that he was reading one of my books. Is this his way of making up with me? Oh, you're here. He put the book upside down, his eyes panicking. Was he really reading the book? I didn't see your text until now. You should have called me instead, I uttered in a post where Jungkook sat. He scooted a little away, making room for me to sit. You were struggling with your writer's block from last week, and when I saw you concentrating, I thought it's better to not disturb your working hours. He stood up and started to put down dishes on the table. Some moments ago, I was mad at him, but now I felt nothing as such. Instead, it was warmth which engulfed me. As said before, Jungkook wasn't usually the one to be showing off his consideration through words, but today he was doing so. He respected my working time and didn't complain about it, but me. I found my eyes darting downwards, feeling guilty to be mad at him. At At the end of the day, I knew it was how much Uncle wished to spend time with me. If he ended up prioritizing his work, then it wasn't what he wanted, but he had to do. Ryan, his voice calling out my name, made me look up again to meet Uncle's eyes. What were you reading? That was quite a random question which popped up in my head to begin a conversation. I saw his eyes going here and there, not looking at me. Oh, nothing, just some book I usually read. He was lying. I couldn't help but smile coyly at that. You read my books usually? He stopped for a second and looked at me briefly and cleared his throat. The food is getting cold. I grinned and walked towards him, sliding his chair back and sitting on his lap, wrapping my arms around his neck. Come on, just say it. You were reading my book. He didn't look surprised or taken aback by me sitting on his lap. Rather, I found Jungkook let his arms hold me by my waist, as then a smirk played on his lips. What do you think? He whispered, with his orbs caught directly into mine. His voice has lowered as I found his nose meeting my cheek. I was reading one of your books. He finally confessed as his face again inched away, with a proud grin on after knowing that my husband used to read my book. I couldn't help but question him about it. So, how are they? They're good. He paused and looked at me, maybe reading me and my face. Just good? Okay, I must be dying to hear some compliments from Jungkook now. I mean, it's amazing as far as I've read. I love the characters. The plot is amazing too. And he knew how to go ahead and grab the right words. You sound like you're lying. But at the same time, I was enjoying watching his flustered state when being questioned. So I decided to play a little bit more. I'm not lying. You're a great writer. I interrupted his words with a quick peck, this time having Jungkook off guard. We stayed silent for a moment, and then Jungkook called out my name again. Ryan, about today. He paused in between, but I chose to let him find his words out. Jungkook sighed and decided to say it all in one go. I'm sorry, I should stop prioritizing work first and give you my time. I'm sorry you have to keep up with my crazy schedule and work stress. I'm sorry for being a shitty husband to you. No, you're not. I paused. I didn't want him to think he's being a bad husband to me. I'm sorry as well. I mumbled apologetically and continued. I should understand you like you do. You respect my work hours and I should too. You're the best husband I could ever ask for and I love you. I love you too. Jungkook didn't read and responded with a pretty and overpowering smile, causing his teeth to display. It was the cute funny smile which I adored the most. His hands found their way up to hold my jaw and brought me down to enclose our lips in a kiss. He pulled away slowly after the kiss on my mouth and said, I can watch you count every star, every night, and it still won't be enough for you. My love for you is so much more than the stars in the sky. I didn't know what love was until you came. I couldn't help but let my eyes go wide at the familiarity of these words. Wait, aren't they? My baffled reaction got Jungkook to break out into a fit of laughter. I just had to prove that I'm a dedicated reader of yours. I can't believe you actually read my books. I exclaimed. Well, ask me anything. I'm sure I can complete every fantasy you've written in your books. Not forgetting the fact I'm one of your inspiration to write your sexy characters, huh? That was it. Anger was long gone. My stomach was filled with butterflies. No more place for the food, but my husband was capable enough to leave me this much shy and flustered.